And we're in. And we'll do basically, you guys, I will do the introduction later. I'll edit it. But for now, it's me and it's Pete Cohen. I love him. You know I love him. I can't sing his praises enough. Session 2, doing it with Pete. And we're going to have a look at, Pete, you tell the audience your side and what we're looking at.
So we've been talking about some deep-rooted challenges in my life. And I have had some, from a very early age, I felt rejected and felt that that I needed to be accepted. So I didn't feel good enough. And I remember that feeling, and it's obviously imprinted something in my life. And that rejection has played out in doing whatever I can to avoid it, and also preempting it. Preempting, oh, I might be rejected here, but it's also created a desire within me to be accepted. And I suppose that's why I've had a lot of success to the outside world in terms of, fame, fortune, books, TV, all of these things, that was driven by a desire to avoid rejection and to get acceptance at all costs. And that's manifested itself in a few ways and I don't want that anymore. It's time for a change. It doesn't serve me anymore.
So for the audience, I'm going to teach them a little bit about what we were talking about split-second learning and split-second unlearning. So you guys that are able to watch us, it's a little, because it's a bit of a visual thing here, but I'll do my best to orate this as well. So when Pete's chatting, when we're looking directly at each other, this is the present, the now, if you would. Now, if Pete looks to his left, he's chatting about the past. And you'll notice that his head just tilted to the left, he's chatting the past. If he tilts to the right, he's chatting about tomorrow and the future. Now, that makes perfect sense. Now, what I'll do in another edit, I'll do another one of this show with Pete's input, and we'll actually slice what he just demonstrated. Because what he was showing us is that he's actually, even his stuff about the future is still hooked into an emotional trigger from the past. So it's still all looping around that. Now, when Pete was chatting last time, I couldn't help but notice that his eyes kept hitting one of these triggers. I've made Pete aware of this before we've gone live, and he's volunteered to help us play with it. And I rather say play with it because it was a child that this happened to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it makes sense that before it happened, you would have been open, and after it happens, it closes you down.
Yeah.
And it becomes your reference point from that point forwards. So we're going to do it without content, which is the beauty of it. We're just going to have Pete notice when he's chatting, can he chat without accessing that spot? Now, here's the challenge. This is a good coaching challenge here. Right, so Pete, how does that impact you when it comes to relationships, etc., moving forward, etc.? How does that impact you?
Well, I'm kind of ahead of the game in a way because I can do this already. But in saying that, I can feel the pull between these two, right? Between the future and something that's holding me back.
So that's lovely there, because you physically turned yourself there. Now, you physically turned because you know it's there.
Yeah.
So
but it's interesting because I want, I'd like to think, okay, I can do that. but I can still feel the pull of
It's still
here.
there. It's still present.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the difference is because when we're watching somebody that has one of these pulls,
Yeah,
you can literally see they consciously make the decision to move that way, but the non-verbal says, I'm still held.
yeah, yeah,
And you can actually feel the darn thing holding on to you.
yeah. Yes.
So here's the nutty part, right? And the reason I call it it's a little crazy, because the subconscious mind is tracking. Always tracking. But if we take that and we make it smaller, and you keep tracking it for me, boop, 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 boop. Now, you just noticed if we had the neuroscientists on board, do you see that little chuckle?
Yeah.
Your internal chemistry's just shifted. Now, my friend, try and think about that now. And you know the significance of the try too. So,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
you
At this
noticing?
moment in time, I definitely can't.
Right now, and we both know, being men of over 21 years old, we know that you have been able to automatically and subconsciously, outside of your awareness, being able to hit that bullseye effortlessly since about 5 years old.
Yeah.
Now, please try and get it at least on the dartboard if you would. Look
Yeah.
at
It's
that.
difficult.
It's difficult to do those feelings that have been ruining my existence. It's difficult to do them. Now, as we both know, we're both NLP trained, etc. So, as a smart guy, look at that lovely confusion. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you now the map that this is what we've just done. So, I'm going to push the button and share this screen, which worked before. Will it work again? Enter screen. It's not that one. It's not a presentation. I've got it, Pete. I want to share it with you. So
Share screen and share presentation. If you hover over share, it should say screen and presentation, and you pick between the two.
Yeah, let's see then. So entire screen or window, that's the one, window. There you go, my friend. Now, can you see this? The map of reality. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So this is my training model I came up with all of those years ago, when our hair was in all of the right places. So in the I am, we're working from the center outwards. So there's the I am, beliefs and values, very similar model to anyone else's, really. However, when you get to the fear, forget everything and run, or false evidence appearing real, what I suggest is that is where the emotional memory image sits, so that we end up trapped in the original identity. And that's what you've found. Years later, you're trying to move forwards and you're still finding yourself stuck. And stuck is the key word here. So once we remove an emotional memory image, we take the next step out. We go into a little bit of chaos and confusion. And then once we get into chaos and confusion, new information is allowed in via those generalizations, deletions, and distortions drop away. New information comes in. You're suddenly comfortable not knowing, because life just is, and we change. Very simplistic model.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So whilst we have this, our system generalizes, deletes, and distorts anything counter to this.
Yeah.
So then we make it about us. So I've had, we have a bit of therapy, and now we have a new badge, a label, but we're still carrying this darn thing. Until the moment that's cleared, and I like it, we seek justice. We want to know, what the heck is it? I want justice. And once we've released it, we realize life just is. So
Yeah.
whatever that was, it was just a moment. But it was a moment when a young child got emotionally overwhelmed. That's it.
Yeah.
And in that happening, our system went and grabbed all of the data and created one of these. And it remains in the mind's eye. And as we're growing, it will impact and filter.
So what do you call that? Like an imprint, a memory?
Emotional memory image.
Yeah.
Wrote a few papers on it. But see, emotional memory, I'll put the link in the text here. But what I suggest is it's created in first time events. It must be a first time event. Otherwise we know. So when we have a first time loss, even if a first time relationship, we never forget our first times. But in the moment within the first time, if it's so emotionally overwhelming, our system, it's probably because there's a charge of cortisol in there, but our system creates this screen, or this deletion filter. So from an observer's side, I mean, it makes coaching very simple, because what we're doing is we're tracking.
So what happens if that can obviously come back, right? It could
No.
Yeah.
Isn't that a lovely question? Oh, I could kiss you. It's just as well we're not in the same room, because I'd have just
Well, I wouldn't mind if you kissed me. Don't worry about
I'd
that.
have nipped across and given you a kiss.
Might not kiss you back, but there you go.
Well, there you go. Well, I've had a bit of a shave. So, but the beauty of it here is, my friend, you and I both know we're now talking about something that's past tense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happened in the past.
And we're genuinely discussing something about your past now. Can you feel that serenity, that?
Yeah, I do.
And that's why it's called split-second unlearning, because as a child we've learned that in a split second, it's gone in and it's stuck. And how many of our clients do we find who are stuck? I was chatting to a buddy of mine yesterday. He's Belgian, and I love the Belgians because their language and they're just so knowledgeable. He's a beautiful, beautiful man, and so he was telling me about, because he's a good golfer, and he's playing with some top French golfer, and he says, I'm so disappointed for him, and he was explaining. And I know what it is. But and I know, getting in with the top flight people, you got to have all the inroads. But here's his problem, and you're going to love it. His problem is obviously one of these. And the one of these he got, and I haven't even met the guy, but I know the pattern. It's so lovely. It usually comes around your 5th birthday. And by about 5, when you're 5, you know quite a bit about the world.
Yeah.
And when that birthday comes, you know who's the man on spot. And when you come to your birthday cake, it's your birthday, there's a big cake, and it usually has your name on it. So to the whole world, that is your cake. So what do? You go to have a piece of your cake. And usually your mother's there. There's other people. Trauma. For a 5-year-old, I mean, you know, anyone else
Yeah,
is
of
just...
course.
But hang on, it's my big day. It's my cake. It's my name. No! Now, you try and become number one in your sport.
Yeah.
Your system says there's other people.
Yeah.
So even though everyone knows off field, you are the world number one, as soon as you go on field, there's other people.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a brilliant performance inhibitor, naturally built in long before you even thought about putting on a pair of track shoes or picking up a golf club.
Yeah.
And here is this super loving man who's got a lot to give with poo on your shoe. If we do it that way, YouTube will still allow us to run it. Yeah. So, and now, my friend, I've been chatting. Last time out, obviously, we let you run. This time, I've chatted a lot because anybody watching you can see you are busy.
Yeah.
In the nothing.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Busy in the nothing?
Ah, there you go. So, if the nothing is, if you think when we're on our map, back to that model again, but when we're on the map, there's a deletion, distortion, generalization filter. So anything that's counter to this is blocked. Once we remove it, suddenly then all of that information that was off limits to us, all of the information that was saying, I'm inferior, I must step, I must, all of that, gone. So all of the counter information now comes flooding in, and it causes this sort of beautiful blankness, the nothing state.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's so much data flooding in and updating the information.
Yeah.
All of those other yous that haven't been allowed to come in to this oneness because they've been frozen in time. And I say frozen in time because even when we were chatting last week, the boy was still turning up.
Yeah.
And now the man's arrived.
Yeah. I would agree.
And it's like sitting. I love this state because I call it it's a state of grace.
Yeah. Yeah, and I concur.
And you just future paced.
Yeah.
Which is what you've been doing for the last 10 minutes. That you're out there in that new relationship.
Well, it's interesting. I feel like I'm here, but not in the place I was before.
No.
And even trying to recreate it, it's challenging to do. It's like it's just I'm actually looking in a different place. So because I like reflection, but I like foresight.
Look at the distance.
Yeah.
Look at the distance you're putting on it. It's because as these minutes are rolling by, that's getting years and years and years further away.
Yeah. So what's next then? In if you were working with me, it's like, what would you do? Would you want to check in with me? Would you want to?
Yeah. We'll have it. Obviously, we have a check in, and we'll say just how's it going. And all I'm doing, if you imagine, I'm more like a window cleaner.
Yeah.
I'm just wanting to
clean
see.
That up. There's some clarity there. Yeah.
And just notice what shifts. The beauty of it, as we know from an NLP perspective, we do a little bit of work and then we want a future pace, and there's no future pace here because if we remove that frozen from your past, and my work goes a little further, a little deeper into the woods, but basically what we share with the rest of the animal kingdom, when in a fear response, we've got aversion, I covered last time, or fixation. Yeah, so long as I know where you are, then I'll survive. So long as I avoid seeing you, then I'll survive. And you were in fixation, and so every time we were chatting, you quick check. And people can see that from last time. Every time you kept checking in with a point in your past that's so far away, it didn't make sense to me when we were chatting last time.
Yeah.
And now,
What's interesting is that you were able to do that even with the situation that you find yourself in, which I find fascinating, you know, that you were still able to do that. And you are obviously aware of a situation that at any point could change massively, right? And your whole life is going to change. And yet, you know, because I was reflecting on the conversation we had, and I, you know, what's interesting for me, Matt, is when people think about, people that know me professionally, I think a lot of those people now know me as the man who is grieving or has grieved, and you know, and which is a wonderful journey to go on. You know, the journey of, it's changed me. It's brought me to you. Let's be honest. And I'm super grateful for that. And but I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for what I did on the back of all of this, which actually is around thoughts and thought life, and how to be aware of what's the experience of being yourself. You know, drawing on lots of my own years of experience and my wife's legacy, which was about just getting on with it, and not like pulling your socks up and just getting on with it, because it's actually the opposite of that. It's like stopping and actually looking at what's going on inside, you know, acknowledging that. And I wanted to say to you that when this happens, you know, that I'm here for you, you know. But what seems interesting, I'm really curious as to when this happens, how you're, with everything you know, how you're going to work through that with the stuff that, you know, it comes back to that, the old thing of being the authentic, you know, person. And I wonder how do you think you will use what you know to deal with what is it inevitable for you?
It's interesting because I'm not into inevitable as the only thing I find inevitable is a scene with Agent Smith when he has in the Matrix.
Yeah.
He's got Neo down on the metro track, the rail track, and the train's coming, and he said, "That, Mr. Anderson, is the sound of inevitability."
Yeah.
And for me, I think inevitability is something that I'd use to help people who are finding it difficult to move. I use inevitability as a word and a term, as a phrase to help them to move. But I think where I am with Lisa and I think we did a piece yesterday, and I said, look, I said, really, I mean, we do some good thought stuff. I said, I think, and she'll not mind sharing this. I mean, and by the way, if you're listening, you know, and you're trying to get in touch, and how is Lisa? Lisa's, you know, she's up and about, and she's doing much better than before. We're happy with the protocol. Big shout out to Dr. Makis, because I can, right? And the beauty of it is we're watching this bit of strength returning. The problem was she wasn't eating because she had, it turns out, for nearly 3 months, she's had candida, which is oral thrush. So
Yeah.
basically, lost her sense of taste, and obviously, I did, I went into normal thinking of, oh, if she's not eating, she's not taking nutrients in, her system's closing down, she's after leaving, and she's not telling me. But she was telling me that she wasn't after leaving. So can you see I was in this dilemma? I'm thinking,
Yeah.
is she trying to sneak off? And then we found out it's Candida, and then we're she's back. So inevitable? No. But the death, we agreed last night, the death would be of her mother role. And I find this a lot with some females will have a child and they will be mum. And I think that there's a difference between a mother and a smother. And they sort of dedicate their entire life and existence. The child is 47 years old and still having his sandwiches made, and you think, and so Lisa, her mother part was rather dominant. So we worked on allowing her mother part to shrink to allow the woman part to grow. So the mother part's dying and the woman's growing, especially now that the leaves are the autumn leaves.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, and I've sung to her, I said, look, my life will be forever autumn if you're not here. Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's lovely that it's that song, right? And I
All the
love
leaves are
that
falling.
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's time for her to shed an identity and allow from death comes new growth. And
I mean, that's a very I agree. I mean, that's such a philosophical way. But it's more than that. It's much more than that. But I suppose what I find so fascinating is, will you? And it's like I don't want to take you there,
No.
But I'm talking from a selfish point of view, that still allowing yourself to grieve, to feel the loss, allowing yourself to be sad or emotional, but just maybe not for very long, because isn't it natural?
No,
is it not natural?
But here's the thing: people will watch it. There'll be some people in your circle who will say you haven't grieved long enough.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that to me, actually.
Oh, you have, but here's the thing: because, and Lisa and I discussed this as well, and I've discussed it with friends. When you go a distance, like you've done and we've done, the big loss hits you first.
Yeah.
You're in there. You want to get it sorted.
I feel it's so interesting you say this, because I felt that the documentary I made was a massive part of my grieving process, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, right? To stop and look at all the footage and put a film together and then put it out, that was hard. And then since that, I've actually, I don't feel the way I felt before. It was like the end of something, the beginning of something. Hannah's still with me. I still miss her sometimes. But it doesn't last very long.
No.
But what's interesting is what we've been talking about today, that something that has come to the fore that was there way before Hannah. In fact, being with Hannah almost masked that. I didn't have to address this thing.
Put it on pause.
I put it on pause, and it was always there. And I feel that we have done something now that has already transformed.
Well, you'd love this. You'd love this because you beautiful man. You even then you try to look at it, and you can't even look in the same place anymore.
It's not there. It feels like it's not there. That's an interesting comment, because it's not. Can't feel something that's anyway.
That's not. Isn't that lovely?
So it would be good to come back again to record something, because we can say, well, how is things now, based on the back of what we do.
I was thinking of doing Wednesdays with Pete for a while.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. But because I've got some more questions around grief and stuff, but we can come back to that. Why not? So, what would you encourage me to do now? Just to carry on with my life and just, yeah,
And this is if you see the exhaust fell off the car and you went to the mechanic, got the exhaust on, right? You wouldn't turn to the mechanic and say, well, what do you want me to do? Should I pop in next week? And I think that's where therapy and coaching for that has lost its way. Because
yeah,
for me, I just want to come, give a person a hand, and
send
on
them
you
on their way.
go.
Yeah, I think my take on that is, like, I've been ridiculously fortunate. Yeah, I had a coach for 16 years who was from the Philippines. He was amazing. I've had a coach now I'm in my 5th year of working with him. I've been working with a psychotherapist. I was working with that person when Hannah was dying, because I thought, how do I deal with this? I don't.
Yeah.
What does this look like? And then and that's been super helpful. And I think all of these things can have a place. But I
Yeah.
also, as you well know, and I thank you for this, because it's rekindled the enthusiasm for this type of work. Yeah, because that was a world I was heavily involved with for a long time. 10 years of working within the field of neurolinguistics and hypnosis, and I think all these things have a place. But ultimately, Matt, I'm one of these people who say you got to find your own way. But
Yeah.
in order in finding your own way, it's good to I would say have an open mind to explore. What does this mean? How does that work? And I appreciate you and the science that you've done, the papers that you've written to bring the new light onto this.
Well, one the if um if we look at the definition of emotional memory images, right? And that was a fun thing. I co-authored that with Professor Mark Johnson, and I'll just tap that one in there so that when we did it, we did split-second unlearning, because it had a bit of more of a hook on it. And I remember Mark saying, should it not be learning? Could you learn? And actually, now we look back and think we'll have to more fully explain split-second learning, because the unlearning is the process that I've just took you through. And as you can see, it's harmless. There's no story needed. And I think that keeps the client in a safe place.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because one of the key pieces to any client work is autonomy.
Yes.
Now, when we reach out, and say it's good to talk, but when we reach out, we are breaking with autonomy, because I'm opening up my system. I would say vulnerability is good, etc., etc. However, our system is designed to keep us sort of in this insular position, to keep us safe.
Protect. Yeah.
So when we open up, then we've got a problem, because do we trust that person? And we'd like to think, yes, we can. But will our system, like in 20 years' time, will we bump into them again? And will they have a piece of our history with them? And how will that be? Can you see? Because we're not like mice or rabbits in a field. We're not living moment. We have longevity. And our mind knows this.
Yeah.
So you can see where autonomy is such a key piece. And that's why we designed the Mind Reset app with autonomy in mind. So basically, people say, what a terrible business model. We take no personal data, nothing, so that an organization can distribute it with all of their staff, and their staff can use it anytime they wish, knowing they have full autonomy. So the organization gets stats on usage, but not on who is using it.
Yeah.
So we're able to scan their eyes, locate one of these, clear it, and let people move on. But I'm going to emotional memory, definition of emotional memory images, because this was, I think this was paper 2. Because when we did it, Mark says to me, well, now that we've done it, we'll have to define this. Again, I'm not an academic. I enjoy hanging with academics because they're so much fun. Yeah. So he said, well, now we've done it, we're going to have to define and give what are the attributes of an emotional memory image. I thought, blooming heck. So, and he's a brilliant academic. And because of his brilliance, he was on me. He really, he squeezed every last bit of me to get this definition out. And so I said, it's trauma-induced. And even now, I'd say I would look at trauma, not with a capital T, but like an adverse situation. Yeah, maybe your mum shouted at you. Everybody listening to this, I'll prove to you how many people have an emotional memory image. If your mum could give you that look, and even though you were 30 years old, you could still shrink.
Yeah.
That's an emotional memory image.
Yeah.
Your mum just give you that, but you can't remember when she first gave you that look, because you'll have been 3 years old or something. But it's still hardwired. Yeah. So trauma-induced, non-conscious, as we've just demonstrated, it's outside of our awareness, contiguously formed. So it's formed in a pattern of association, and it's multimodal but it tends to run on that visual setting. But there's usually an auditory track running up. Yeah. And you get the associated feeling comes along with it. But it triggers an amnesic, anachronistic, and a buddy of mine said, a what? An anachronistic, because you're frozen in time.
Yeah.
When that fires, you are no longer Pete the man. You're Pete the boy, and you're vulnerable. So stress response within a split second. So if I said it all in the one sentence, it's trauma-induced, non-conscious, contiguously formed, multimodal mental imagery, which triggers an amnesic, anachronistic stress response within a split second.
Yeah.
Now, when you look like, it's like, what? But thanks to Mark Johnson, he got that out of me, so we did it all in one piece. And I'm thinking, like, wow. So it's just such a huge bit of work to trap into such a small little place. And basically, all we're looking for are your eyes avoiding? Yeah, because when we were chatting before we came on air, you did it beautifully. You're not a small guy, but when you were looking at that, you were shrinking.
Yeah.
Which physiologically, you'd access a child. You'd be a child.
Yeah.
And you can see where, in a relationship, that initially would be attractive.
Yeah.
But it then becomes a turn off very quickly. And you're not aware of it because it's non-conscious. But now, my friend, it's popped out of there.
Yeah, I agree. And I look forward to coming back to this and sharing, what's changed, what's different.
And there's a lovely, because as soon as we detach you from that, the universe floods in, Pete.
Yeah.
But it floods in on a level, you know. But Bandler was right when he chatted about Richard Bandler. When he chatted that future pace, it makes sense. But for me, I couldn't understand helping people to future. You see yourself in 12 months' time, looking back from now. And I thought, well, what right do we have to? It made sense though. But when we do this, your system, the essence of you is filling that void.
Yeah.
And I think that's more graceful, more dignified than having me come in with my thoughts on where you're just very gently. And the beauty of this is we can do it on a screen like this. It's effortless.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for this. I wasn't expecting this today at all. So just make it even more beautiful.
And honestly, all I want to do was just turn up and see that lovely smile of yours, because I thought you're not getting out of here today with that bit of poo on your shoe.
Yeah, yeah. We've got another word for that, but we won't say it. So thank you so much.
Brilliant. So should we call it a wrap there then?
Definitely, yeah.